In this video, I'll be showing you how to create your Ode to Andy layout for the color tint example. One of the two that you'll be turning in. One will be a sketch filter, and in this case, this is a color tint. There'll be another video on the overall layout of the document. This one is just to show you how to add that selective color tint pretty easily on top of this photo. So I'm going to go over to my original photo here, and the first thing I'm going to do is crop this down. This needs to be a 5x7, so you want to set this to 5x7, and sometimes you need to rotate it, so you're going to flip that up here. You got to decide, what you want to lose here. I'm going to move this down just a little bit, just so I don't lose the top of that flag there. And with this selected 5x7, I'll hit the check mark, and now I have my image to a 5x7 proportion. I still need to go to image size and set it to exactly a 5x7. So I'm going to uncheck resample and put in 7 for my width. Notice it's a little over 5 inches. It's like 1 pixel over. This is fine. So now if I look at my ruler, I'm set to 5x7, and if you happen to be missing your rulers, it's under the view menu. You can go up to rulers and select that. Now for this selection, if you notice, I color the Jeep 3 different colors. There's a lot of ways you could start selecting this. I could go to any one of the selection tools like polygon and lasso, and I could draw around here. I'm going to begin with this picture, and you could also maybe try quick select and kind of drag around and get some of that yellow color, which snaps pretty well to this photo. All right. So there's a lot of different ways you could try this. I'm going to deselect this, and I'm going to try to use the magic wand tool first. I'm going to click in a yellow area. It grabs some of it, so I'll maybe take my tolerance up and see what 100 does if I grab in there. That got a little more. Maybe try 150. Now I got a lot of stuff in the background there, so I'm going to drop this down. And again, this is all dependent on the photo that you choose. So this is pretty close. If I reset my foreground and background colors to black and white over here on the toolbar, and I pop over to quick mask, you can see kind of what I got. It's okay, it needs some cleanup. So I might, while I'm in the magic wand tool, normally your new selection up here, I'm going to go over to add to selection, and I might click in a couple more of those spots. Now that makes it kind of messy. Now the reason that happened is because I don't have contiguous checked up here right now. So I'm going to start over on that. I'm going to select contiguous, check in the area, and then I'll go to make sure I'm in new selection, and I can start to work my way around the Jeep, and that gets a decent amount of the yellow area of the Jeep. It got some weird stuff over here. We'll see what that looks like. This is a little closer. So when I'm in the quick select tool, remember I'm using the paintbrush and eraser, so if I want to hide these people over here, I do want to check that my hardness is set all the way to 100%. If I want to hide those people, I'll paint over top of them. If I want to get rid of this red on the windshield, I probably would cover the windshield. I just want to get the yellow paint on this. So I might go through and start to add some more fill in some of these areas as I work my way around. But you need to get yourself to a place where it's nice and cleaned up. I'm going to show you an example of that over in a different file here. So I'm going to control click and turn everything else off in this file so you can see kind of what's going on. So if I was in quick select here, I've taken the time to just mask out the areas that do not have the yellow paint on them. So I worked my way around, cleaning up with a paintbrush and eraser to try to get that to match as neat as possible, adding some of the little details as I went through. After I was finished with this, I exit the quick mask layer, and then it's time to start to make some copies, and I'm copying from the background layer. It's important you have that selected, and this is layer new, layer via copy. This gives me just the yellow portion of the Jeep on its own layer that then I can duplicate and add some different color tints to. So notice I left out a couple little detail items on there, just trying to get the yellow paint on this Jeep. So from here, I'm going to use this layer 2. I'm going to duplicate it so I still have the original, and then I'm going to turn everything else off. So I just have this one, and I'm going to control click it, and notice the highlighted edges just like we did back in color tint. I pick a color, So let's say I want to make this the red Jeep. I'll do that 25500. So my color is red. I'm in the paintbrush tool. I can only paint inside the lines, so I can be messy here. Can't paint outside those lines. And then if I turn on this, notice I've added this red swatch on top of there. There's some other things that need to happen first. So on top of the background layer, so I'm going to turn this off. So we're looking at just the regular photo. I'm going to add a black and white adjustment and probably a layers or levels adjustment just to tweak that just a little bit. And then I will add back on my red copy. Again, this red copy, if you remember from color tint, right now it's set to normal. I'm going to set this to color and see what that looks like. That's a little dull, so instead of color, I'm going to try the overlay option. I think that looks a little bit nicer for this photo. If I look over here, I did miss a little section, so I'm going to go through and erase that. So you have to pay attention to what layer you're on. So I'm on this red layer. I'm going to go through and I'm going to use my eraser, which is huge right now, so I'm going to shrink that down. Make sure the eraser is set to 100% hardness, which it is, and I'll just erase that little extra bit that I don't think belongs on the red layer. And then when I zoom out here, you can tell that looks a little bit nicer. Now after you have the red one, or whatever colors you decide to use, you have all the hard work done at this point. It's just a matter of duplicating the layer. So on this red layer copy, and if I want, I can name that stuff, if you want to go in and rename some layers. But all I'm going to do is duplicate this. So I'm going to duplicate my layer, and let's say I'm going to call this one green, and I'll hit OK. With the green layer selected, which of course is still red because I just duplicated, I'll go in and change my color. So I'm going to set this to pure green, hit OK. I will go back to my paintbrush, and you need to remember to hold the control key down and grab this little layer thumbnail. That lets selects all the pixels on here so that I can't paint outside the lines. Put that on again, and then I will put my background copy back on. I have already, since I duplicated it from the red copy, it already is set to overlay 100%. So that's done. I do it one more time with a third color. So we'll once again duplicate this one. I'm gonna make a blue Jeep here. So I'll hit OK on that. I will select blue as my color. So put in 00255 for pure blue. Control click the layer thumbnail, and once again paint on top of there. Now you see that looks weird. I still have my green layer on. Alright, so I've painted on top of that. Deselect it, and I'm pretty much done at this point. I could go back and tweak levels if I want to see how that changes the way the color is attached to the photo. Maybe change the midtones just a little bit. To get these photos out of here as individual photos, whatever layers you have on at the time, when you save a JPEG, that's going to be your layer type. No, in this one, this is a different file, so I'm going to go ahead and crop this one. I'll crop it, go to image size. You've already done this, hopefully. So now I'm down to 5x7. Then I will go to File, Save As, and I will save this as blue Jeep color tint, and I'm going to save this as a JPEG. So I'll hit save on that. Alright, next step is to turn on the other colors. So now I'm going to turn on the green color tint, go to File, and I'll do Save As again, select JPEG, and this is going to be my green Jeep color tint. Hit OK on that, and finally save my red one. So I will turn off the green, put on the red layer, go to File, Save As, another JPEG, red Jeep color tint. And now I'm ready to put these in the layout document. That's the end of the first video.